Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack exactly how these massive, seemingly disconnected global events happening thousands of miles away are actually hitting our daily lives right here, right now. Today, we're taking a visual journey through the headlines of July 24th, 2026, to really grasp the incredible interconnectedness of our modern world. We'll look at everything from overseas kinetic conflicts to massive shifts in global trade, and map out exactly how they end up right at your front door.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's a fascinating question, right? On the surface, a drone strike in the Middle East and the process of buying your first home seem like they exist in entirely different universes. But, as you'll see today through our ripple effect narrative, the distance between overseas conflicts and your domestic economic reality is way shorter than you might think. Everything is connected.
So to understand those global ripples, we first need to look at the stones being thrown into the pond. Section 1, Middle East on the brink, fast-moving conflicts and rising casualties. Right now, we're seeing a really widespread escalation. Drone swarms have targeted U.S.-led forces near Erbil, a base in Kuwait, and a watchtower in Bahrain. In direct response to this, U.S. forces actually expanded their offensive operations, striking multiple IRGC targets across several Iranian provinces. So what we're looking at is a significant exchange of direct military action across multiple borders all at the same time. And behind those operational updates is a deeply solemn reality. 17. That is the total number of U.S. casualties in this current conflict. This number was just updated today after U.S. Central Command confirmed that an American service member was killed in northern Iraq during a controlled detonation of a downed Iranian drone. It's a stark reminder of the human cost right at the center of these geopolitical maneuvers. Meanwhile, regional dynamics are intensifying elsewhere. The Israeli Air Force struck Hamas weapon depots, manufacturing workshops, and underground tunnels in the Gaza Strip today. Israel alleges that the militant group violated the ceasefire agreement that was signed back in October 2025. Concurrently, we saw a severe outbreak of violence in the West Bank. Confrontations between Israeli settlers and local villagers in Tel Nublis resulted in the deaths of 4 Palestinians and 2 Israelis. And this event has triggered further violent, localized incidents across the territory. So the crucial point here is that these localized conflicts absolutely do not stay local for long. In direct response to the escalating violence across these multiple fronts, the U.S. Department of State issued a broad security warning for Americans, and not just in the Middle East, but globally. They're citing potential retaliatory threats against U.S. diplomatic and commercial facilities worldwide. The ripples, as you can see, are already spreading to international security infrastructure. Which brings us right to Section 2, Escalation in Eastern Europe, and a story of drones and diplomacy. We're looking at a pretty stark contrast right now. In the skies, immense military escalation. Following Russian ballistic missile strikes on Kyiv, Ukrainian forces launched a massive counterstrike, sending over 400 long-range drones toward Moscow and surrounding sectors. Yet, literally at the exact same time, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov are sitting face-to-face at the ASEAN meetings in Manila, discussing peace pathways for Ukraine. Even amidst historic drone swarms, diplomatic conversations are continuing, though Secretary Rubio did note that a quick resolution remains unlikely. And just as we saw in the Middle East, we have to ground these vast geopolitical conflicts in their everyday human cost. Ukrainian regional officials reported today that a Russian drone strike hit a civil postal facility in Sumy. This strike tragically killed 2 individuals and severely damaged local distribution infrastructure. It's a localized tragedy that totally disrupts the fundamental daily services of a community caught in the crossfire. Now we reach the real pivot point of our explainer today. Section 3, the economic ripple effects from the Strait of Hormuz straight to your wallet. Now, what's really interesting about this is how a single event can act as a massive economic catalyst. Today, the Mozambique-flagged LPG tanker Disha, which was carrying 28 Indian crew members, was attacked while transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Thankfully, all crew members are reported safe. But listen, the Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's absolute most critical maritime choke points for liquid natural gas and oil. An attack here isn't just a localized security incident, it's an immediate, direct threat to the global energy supply chain. And this economic threat is exactly why international leadership is stepping in. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, using the diplomatic leverage of those regional ASEAN meetings in Manila, stated today that diplomatic solutions remain on the table, specifically contingent upon Tehran ceasing attacks on commercial mariners. The real urgency here is all about securing these critical maritime routes to prevent a massive global economic shock. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact sequence of our ripple effect. Let's walk through this cause and effect chain step by step. Step 1, the Middle East conflict escalates, specifically threatening choke points like the Strait of Hormuz. Step 2, because those shipping lanes are threatened, the market panics and global energy prices spike. Step 3, higher energy prices drive up inflation fears, which makes investors demand higher returns, causing treasury yields to rise. And finally, step 4, because U.S. mortgage rates are deeply tied to those treasury yields, the cost of borrowing money shoots up, pushing 30-year mortgages to 6.58%.
6.58%. That number represents a one-year high for U.S. 30-year fixed mortgage rates. So when we ask what a drone strike in the Middle East has to do with buying a house, well, this is the answer. The instability overseas directly raises the cost of your monthly mortgage payment. Global geopolitics is fundamentally local economics. But economic ripples aren't just coming from conflict. They're also coming from major shifts in international trade policy. Today, the Trump administration officially enacted import tariffs of 10 to 12.5% on goods originating from over 80 different nations. As you can see by the scale of this, it targets roughly 41% of global nations under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, specifically targeting alleged forced labor practices, leaving the rest of the world at 59%. This is a massive shift in global trade dynamics that's undeniably going to ripple into the pricing of consumer goods worldwide.
Let's transition over to our final section, global law and governance, focusing on some sweeping shifts in France and India. So, how young is too young for social media? It's a highly relatable question, isn't it? Parents and tech companies have been debating this for over a decade. But today, one major European nation decided to stop debating and start legislating. The French Parliament just voted to approve a strict blanket ban on social media access for any minor under the age of 15. What makes this law so fascinating is the mechanism. It actually requires verified parental authorization. This isn't just a simple checkbox. It's a hard legal and technological barrier, fundamentally changing how young citizens interact with the digital world in France. Meanwhile, over in India, their highest court is utilizing legal infrastructure to address historical trauma. The Supreme Court of India has proposed establishing special fast-track courts that will hold daily trials to expedite cases stemming from the devastating 2023 ethnic violence in Manipur. It's a massive structural effort to clear backlogs, deliver swift justice, and stabilize the region through the rule of law. From drones over Moscow and the Strait of Hormuz, all the way to fast-track courts in India and the mortgage rate you see at your local bank, the world is woven tightly together. So I want to leave you with this final thought. As these global ripples continue to reach your front door, how will today's overseas conflicts shape your tomorrow? Keep paying attention to the connections, because understanding the world really is the first step to navigating it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.